Alright, this is Stats 1, Chapter 1, Section 3. This is Part 3, so now we want to make a grouped frequency distribution. So again, just to remind you, under the lecture notes, under the documents itself, you can download the lecture data, right? Download that, and then dump it into your OneDrive, right? So go to your OneDrive at office.com, right? Dump it into there, click on it. So last video we did the ungrouped data, so there's a grouped data tab right here. So blow that up. So all this data right here is the data for the child IQ score. So these are kids exposed to low levels of lead, basically. Okay. All right. So what we want to do here is click on column A and then data and sort it ascending. Okay. So in order to do a group distribution, we have to do something extra first we didn't have to do before. We have to figure out the number of classes, and we have to figure out the class width. Right? So if we remember correctly here, we go back. Right? The number of classes here was like, what, 6, right? And each class width was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a width of 5. How did I come up with that? Well, these things right here. The number of classes, we're going to use the Sturgis rule, because unless it otherwise specifies, you always use the Sturgis rule. And the class width, we use the class width formula. Okay, so if we calculate this out, it is the logarithm of, and how many values are there? There are 78 values divided by log of 2. It's really log base 2, but we have to use the change of base formula because we can't do subscripts in Excel. Okay, so the correct number of classes is 7 because you have to do proper rounding, right? Proper rounding. All right, and then class width is equal to the maximum minus the minimum divided by the number of classes. Some people do the pre-rounded, some do the post-rounded. It won't actually make a difference. So if I click on this and divide, and I'll do it again, I'll do maximum minus the minimum, and I'll divide by the other number, right? So because if you look at the formula, right, it's divided by the number of classes, right? And you always round up is the rule. Okay, so this is number of classes, this is number of classes. This is the one we're going to use because you can't have a partial class. So the actual answer is 14. So let's do blue and bold, and blue and bold, right? So this is what we're going to actually use right here for our answer, basically. Okay, so we're going to have 7 groups of 14 essentially, right? And the question is, well, if you round this one, it's 13, you round this one, it's 14. Yes, but you want to use round up because again, we want to be we want to include every single one, so we don't want to underestimate and leave one off the ends. You always overestimate on the width, basically. Okay, so the things that we want are lower class. Whoops, I hit the wrong button, sorry. And limits. Remember, you have to hold the Alt key every time to get to the next line. So upper class limit. Okay. And then we want class intervals. I would say class interval. We get the idea. Class boundaries. Oops. There we go. Move that back into place. So we want tallies, frequency, relative frequency. Okay, cumulative frequency. You can see we're repeating what we did last time now. It's only the beginning that's different for the grouped one. Cumulative frequency, cumulative relative frequency. Okay, I'm going to add 2 more this time. We're going to add percent frequency and percent cumulative frequency. I clicked the wrong button. Cumulative frequency. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to highlight all those. I'm going to hit bold, box them. We'll put some yellow in there, and we'll center them out. So let's see if they look okay. They look okay. Okay, so we got to figure these out now based on our calculations. So I'm going to start at 50, and you'll see a lot of students, they make a mistake the first assignment. They're either going to put 1 or 0, because, you know, kindergarten and all, you either start at 1 or you're starting to add and you start at 0, which would be painful because this doesn't go down to that. It starts at 50, right? And then you have to go to 50 plus. A lot of people say 14. That's not true, because 50 to 64 is not 14 numbers. That's actually 50 numbers, because starting with 0. So you actually want to do 13, right? Okay, because a number plus 13 more numbers is 14 numbers, basically. So that's the first class, which is 50 to 63. Okay, so the next one is equal to this plus 1 more. So all you have to do at this point is drag it down from the little box. It says 1, but that's fine. It's trying to add something that's not there, correct? And I'll take this one and drag it down. And the question is, how far do I drag this down? Well, it obviously doesn't go to 245. I need 7 of these, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I can delete the rest. So basically, what do I have? I have 7 classes, right? So this is 64 to 77, 78 to 91, 92 to 105, 106 to 119, 120 to 133, 134 to 147. Okay, we'll center those out. So I have 7 classes. Each one of these classes is 14 wide, right? It's a number plus 13 more numbers, right? Okay. So the class boundaries is always 1 more decimal place than your data values. So these have 0 decimal places, so I need to have 1 decimal place for my boundaries. So 49.5 to 63.5, 63.5 to 77.5. Whoops, that's not a 5. Sticky fingers there. 77.5 to 91.5, 91.5 to 105.5, 105.5 to 119.5, 119.5 to 133.5, 133.5 to 147.5. Okay, so now as a result, we got what we wanted, which is exclusive, right? So if I have the number, let's find one that actually goes over between them. So 77, right? Or if I had something between 77 and 78, it has to be between, it has to be in one of these, basically. So there's no overlap. So when we make a graph later on, we'll use these. Okay, so frequencies. How many are between 49.5 and 63.5? Well, I can go over to here, and I can highlight those. And you look down here, there's an actual count, and it says 2. Right? How many are between 63.5 and 77.5? So that's these right here. So I highlight them. The count says 12. Alright, so I need 78 to 91. 78 to 91. So I highlight them. Count says 22. Alright, so 91.5 to 101.5. So 101.5, right? No. Shoot, 105.5. I lied. So we are right there. So that's a count of 28 in the bottom right there. 28. Okay, so 106 to 119, 106 to 119, that's a count of 10. Alright, so what do we have here? 120 to 133, so that's 3 and 1 left over. Okay, so 3 and 1. And again, if there's a 0 for any of these, you don't disclude it, you need to keep it, right? Okay, so we're going to write total down here. Total equals, right? And we'll shift that to the right, and we'll bold it up. Okay, so we're going to do the sum of all of these. That's our self-check. We come up with 78, which is perfect because there's 78 of these. That's perfect. Okay, so a tally is just a number of tallies for a frequency, which is the vertical bar above the entry key. So there's actually, you can type it in manually, but that's kind of a pain in the butt. There's actually a trick to do it. It's repeat, right? That's the command right here. Then you're going to do quotes and then the bar that's above the entry key, right? Because you want to repeat that symbol, and the number of times you want to do it will be this box right here, which is what, I2, right? Let me just make this bigger. So I drag this down, and there we go, right? So that made 12 of those little vertical bars, basically. I just make it bigger. So we have is a visual of the distribution, right? Which kind of looks like a histogram, essentially. Okay, relative frequency. So these are all the same as what we did in the prior one for the ungrouped, same calculation. It's what I have divided by the total, right? It's a probability. Okay, and again, if I try to drag this down, it's not going to work because it's going to keep moving the 78 down, which we don't want to do, right? So I'm going to delete those. So what I really want to do is put a $sign here and a $sign here, so it doesn't change, right? Get it? Dollars don't change. It doesn't change the 78. So now when I drag this down, right, every time it divides by the 78. And if I do the sum for my self-check, I will get a 100%. Okay? All right, so these are the cumulatives, right? Running totals. So we have 2 in the beginning. Then we have 12 plus the previous amount of 2 for 14. So that's the running total. That is not, because in the beginning you don't have a running total. So I can drag that down, running total. Okay, then I have about 2.5%. Then I have 15% plus the previous 2.5. So that's my running total there. And I'll drag that down, and there it is. Okay, so sometimes they'll convert them to percent in the book. They really shouldn't unless they're doing some kind of specific graph, but these are just the percents of these two, basically. So all you have to do is do equals, click this, and drag it down, right? And then essentially, you can change it to a percent here somewhere. Where is it? Okay, click on, cancel. And change it to a percent. There we go, and drag it down. And you can highlight them and also add more place values like this, right? You can read more or less. Okay, and then same thing here. It's this one here, right? And I can drag it down, and I can change those to percents, or multiply by 100 too if you want. I like it this way because it adds the percent symbol. You might not want the percent symbol, so you can just multiply by 100 otherwise if you don't want it to affect your graph. Okay, so let's highlight all this and put a box around it. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to copy the boundaries here, and we're going to go over and paste it. Ooh, that did not. Let's not undo that, undo that, undo that. Oh boy. I guess I'm not going to be able to fix that. Well, we'll go with it, I guess. Okay, so that kind of messed things up. Let's try to fix it. All right. Okay, good enough. All right, then I'm going to copy the frequency. Copy. Put that there. Box that out. All right, then I'm going to click on number 1 over here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to add a row above. And we will merge these. And this is the frequency. Frequency distribution. All right, we'll make that box a bit bigger there. We'll do bold, box it, and we'll do some blue. Okay, whoop, that didn't box for some reason. Right, because this is a frequency of 12. The whole thing is a frequency distribution, basically, right? When you graph it, it's a distribution too. All right, so I'm going to copy the boundaries again. Make this a little bit bigger this time so it doesn't mess up. There we go. Okay, I'm going to copy the relative frequency. Copy that to there. Oh, I didn't copy correctly, so I'll just do the equals and click on that, hit enter, and then I can copy it down. Okay, so if I highlight this, this is the relative frequency distribution. Okay, bold box blue. So that is a relative frequency, so 28% is this category or class. The whole thing is a relative distribution, right? Okay, so next one, I think I'll copy here, make it a little bit bigger, and then I need the cumulative. So I want the cumulative, copy. Okay, didn't copy right, but that's okay. I'm going to hit equals, go over to cumulative, click on it, hit enter. Now I can drag it down and box that up. All right, so this is the cumulative frequency distribution. Bold box. There we go. All right, last one. Oh, this is incorrect though, because this is cumulative, right? So this is 0 to that, right? So what I need to do is copy 0 every time and just put 0. It might be work to say, you know, up to, you know what I'm saying? Put words in there instead to say it's up to. I like the numbers because when I make graphs later on, it'll fit. If I put a bunch of words, it won't fit in the graph. Because we're going to use, the point is we're going to be using everything from here and here to make graphs later on. Okay, since I don't really want to make that over again, I'm going to copy the class boundaries, right, to here. Okay, then we need the cumulative relative. Equals, I'm going to click on that and drag it down. Okay, so we're going to merge that together. So the last one is cumulative relative frequency distribution. Okay, bold box and blue. Okay, so to turn the notes in for section 3, what you should do is take pictures of the first parts, right? Where does section 3 start? Right, take pictures of the first parts with the Adobe Scan app or some other equivalent app to make a PDF, right? Along with all the other pages of the note packet that we did. And then for specifically these two problems that we did in the spreadsheet, okay, which is this distribution which is ungrouped and this distribution which is grouped, what you should do is open the waffle here and get a Word document out. Create a blank work document. And you can change the layout. I'd go to narrow margins. Maybe I want to change the orientation, I don't know. What I would do at this point is copy all of the goodies, you know what I'm saying? Copy everything, copy. And what options do I have? Paste text only, page merge formatting, paste. Perhaps just paste is fine, you know what I'm saying? Okay. That looks kind of crappy. Nope, that didn't do what I wanted. If you do the local version, you can actually paste as a picture, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, insert page break, and then you can start pasting in the other ones. Oops. Start pasting in the other ones, right? Da-da-da. Actually, no, you could probably do it all as a big group, right? Copy it as a group. And where did I just do that? Paste it into there. It's not bad. Oh, why is it doing it that way, though? Oh, If I highlight the whole thing, I guess I can shrink it down. No, it's only doing that one. Interesting. Nope. Well, that was worse. I know what we can do to make it better. We can go to the spreadsheet here and just make these columns like this, a little smaller. That'll help, right? And then we want to make this smaller also. Okay. And then we can copy that and then put it on the page. Oops, I keep doing that. I want to make sure I go back into my Word doc. Nope, it just doesn't like me, I guess. Okay, anyways, I'll play with that later. The local version works much better than the online version as far as pasting into Word. They can take the group stuff, do the same thing, you know what I'm saying? You know, take each of these, shrink them down a little bit, make this smaller. Okay, take this. Oops, I keep doing that. I need to go to here. And then insert page break. And then we can take the last one, which is right here. Okay, come on, right there. Take all that, copy. So if I paste into this one, it's going to look pretty bad though. Actually, not too bad at all. It looks a lot otherwise worse than that. I could probably change the layout to. All right. Anyways, when you're all done, make sure you name it something. You know what I'm saying? And then file, create a copy, download a copy would just be a doc file. You don't want that. You want to export it as a PDF, basically. So when you export it as a PDF, then you can submit that. So you want to submit the regular handwritten notes, you know, what you made for the Adobe scan, and then submit these also. Okay.